Hello, this is Lucas Palmeira from Imaginando, and I'm here to give you another tutorial on the RC. Today I'm gonna show you how to make some sounds from the song The Weight by Weval. So let's get started. And we start by doing this kind of digital tom drum that I have here. So I'm gonna bring back this patch to the default patch, like we normally do. Okay, here I have it, and we start by changing the first oscillator to a sine wave, like this, and then we go to the second oscillator. Let's raise it a little bit, change it to a triangle wave, drop 1 octave, and change the fine tuning to 0.56. Okay, like this. Now on the amplifier, master at maximum, pregain at maximum, oscillator 1 at maximum, oscillator 2 at 477, and noise at 783. Okay, like this. Then on the filter, we leave the envelope generator amount, and we drop the cutoff to 234. And then we change from a low pass 4-pole to a low pass 2-pole. Okay, now we go to the first envelope generator and we raise the attack to 0.46. Okay, 174 on the decay. Okay, sustain at 0.76. And release at 118. Now, decay at 220, sustain at 190, and release at 130. Okay, now we have here a K70 to give it a tiny little bit of stereo widening. Then we got this distortion and this glue compressor as well. And finally an equalizer to sculpt the sound. Okay. Next, we go to the bass. And here we go back to the default patch as well. And change the first oscillator to a square wave. And now change performance mode from poly to mono. And now let's drop the cutoff to 0 and drop the envelope generator to amount to 329. Okay. Now we go to the modulation page and raise the velocity to 137. This means the higher the velocity, the higher the cutoff. Okay, now for the first envelope generator. Attack at 0, decay at 364. Sustain at 340. Release at 346. Okay. Now envelope generator 2, this one controls the cutoff. And 0.28 on the attack, 230 on decay. Okay. Oh, 236. Sustain at 400. And release at 322. And we have our bass. Okay, now let's go to the keys. On the bass, I only have here a high pass filter on the 40 hertz. So let's now go to the keys and bring back to default patch. Oscillator 1, let's change it to a square wave. Oh, first oscillator, raise 1 octave, change to a square wave. Okay, now pulse width at 844. Okay, like this. Now LFO1. Now the LFO1, let's raise it PWM to 120 and drop the LFO to about 72. Okay, and now we raise the second, let's go to the amplifier. Raise oscillator 2 to maximum. And now on the second oscillator we detune it to square wave as well, and let's detune it to 52. Now we go to the filter, main, envelope generator 2 at 0.5, cutoff at 792. Resonance at 658. And now we go to the VCA and raise the velocity to maximum. This means the higher the velocity, the higher the note. Now for the first envelope generator, the one that modulates the amplitude, attack at 0, decay at 364. Decay at 382, sustain at 298, release at 657. Okay, and on the second one that controls the cutoff filter, 230 on the decay. Zero on the sustain, and release at 170. Okay. Now for the reverb, 214 on decay. And 184 amount. Okay. And basically what I have here also, I have an equalizer first. Then I have this overdrive. Which I have to just gonna confirm something. Give me just a tiny second. So on the amplifier master is at 759. And the pre-gain at 601. 601. About here. And the oscillator 2 at 681. Okay, now it's perfect. And I have this K7D to give it a little bit more noise to the sound, so it doesn't sound so clean. And now we go to the lead, final sound. And we bring back default patch. Okay, I have here a reverb that I'm gonna take out for now. And first thing I'm going to do is I have to do the same thing I've did before, which is check the amplifier. Sorry about that. So it's the lead. Okay, and so first thing we're going to do is go to the amplifier, (819) on the pre-gain, 579 on the sub, 579 on the sub, oscillator at maximum, and finally ring modulator at maximum. Okay, now we go to the second oscillator and fine tune at 100, like this. Sub oscillator 1 octave up. Performance portamento on already. And now we go to the LFO1 first, and we drop the rate to 350. Okay, 350. And now we raise the modulation to 350 as well. And then we give a little bit of delay, so the LFO only starts a little bit after you play the key, like this. Okay? Now, envelope generator 2 at 593, amount. Cutoff at 0. Resonance at 410. Like this. Now we change the mode from a low pass 4-pole to a band pass 2-pole. Like this. And now we go to the modulation page and raise the keyboard to maximum. This means the higher the keyboard, the higher the cutoff frequency. And then we go to the velocity and we put it at 472. This means the higher the velocity, the higher the cutoff filter. Now, envelope generator 1, the one that modulates the amplitude, 0 tech, maximum decay, sustain at 501, release at 411. Now, on the second one, on the second envelope generator that modulates cutoff in time, decay at maximum, sustain at 0, and release at 358. Finally, I have a DLYM, or delay modulator, to give it a little bit of stereo widening. And I think we have everything. So let's listen. And this was it, guys. Remember that I have some automations here on the tom drum controlling the release time of it. I also have some automations on the lead. And as you noticed, after the first notes, I turned the portamento on. Was something that also happens on the song. And you can check that out on the Ableton session that we send you and leave for you afterwards. So I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. We really enjoyed this music and sharing this with you. So if you like it as well, give us a like or a subscribe, and we will see you again next week. So goodbye.